Luka Dončić wants LeBron to retire alongside him at the Lakers. Stay until the end to find out everything, but first, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. As speculation swirls around LeBron James' future in the purple and gold, Luka Dončić is making one thing unmistakably clear. He's not ready to see the king step away. Contrary to whispers suggesting a rift, Dončić is working quietly behind the scenes to ensure LeBron finishes his legendary NBA journey in a Lakers uniform. According to insider reports from the Dallas Hoops Journal, Luka has expressed his desire to keep LeBron in Los Angeles until the final chapter of his career is written. Despite the Lakers' front office subtly shifting their team-building strategy to center around the Slovenian star, Luka reportedly views LeBron not as a threat to his spotlight, but as a respected partner and invaluable asset. "He's someone I grew up admiring," Luka was quoted saying in private team discussions. "Sharing the floor with him is something I never take for granted." The relationship between the two stars began to flourish in the latter half of the last season. During the 23 games they shared the court, the Lakers posted a solid 15-8 record. In that stretch, Luka averaged 27.7 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 7.3 assists per game, asserting his dominance as the team's new centerpiece. LeBron, on the other hand, embraced a more complementary role, putting up 23.7 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 6.7 assists, showcasing a level of adaptability rarely seen in athletes of his stature. It was a changing of the guard in many ways, but one that LeBron appeared to accept with grace, and one that Luka fully embraced with maturity beyond his years. Even after a disappointing early playoff exit at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Dončić didn't flinch. In fact, the setback only seemed to fuel his commitment to the team. He spent the off-season refining his physique and silencing critics who had questioned his conditioning in past seasons. By the time training camp rolled around, Luka had clearly taken full ownership of the franchise's direction. But his influence wasn't limited to on-court performance. Following the departure of Dorian Finney-Smith to the Houston Rockets, it was Luka who personally pushed for the acquisitions of Marcus Smart and DeAndre Ayton, two high-impact players who could bring grit, experience, and presence to the locker room. "I want a team that can win now," Luka reportedly told management. "And I want LeBron to be a part of that." His message was firm. He doesn't just accept LeBron's presence, he thrives with it. Dončić envisions a Lakers roster built around a dynamic duo, not a solo act. Meanwhile, LeBron has yet to give any definitive word on his long-term intentions. While cryptic remarks from his agent, Rich Paul, have stirred up theories of a potential departure or retirement, LeBron himself has shown no outward signs of discontent. At age 40, he's still performing at an elite level, earning a spot on the All-NBA second team and finishing 6th in MVP voting last season. The synergy between the two superstars has given Lakers fans a reason to believe. Luka leads with youthful intensity and vision, while LeBron brings wisdom, poise, and a sense of continuity. Together they have the tools to forge another deep playoff run and perhaps more. More than anything, Luka's stance reflects a respect for legacy. For him, the idea of LeBron closing out his iconic career in any jersey other than the Lakers is unacceptable. As the new face of the franchise, Dončić is using his growing influence to keep the king where he belongs, on the throne in Los Angeles. And while Luka remains the loudest voice in the locker room, that vision is more than just a wish, it's a mission. Luka Dončić had long admired LeBron James. From the moment he first picked up a basketball as a boy in Ljubljana, watching LeBron's highlights was part of his daily ritual. He studied his movements, absorbed his leadership qualities, and idolized the number 23 jersey like it was a sacred symbol. Now, playing side by side with his childhood hero, Luka found himself not only living a dream, but shaping it. What surprised many around the league wasn't just the partnership between LeBron and Luka, but the depth of their connection. Though they came from vastly different backgrounds with nearly 2 decades between them, the two stars bonded through a mutual respect rooted in basketball brilliance and shared ambition. During late-night practice sessions at the Lakers training facility, they often stayed after the team was gone. LeBron would offer insight on game pacing, spacing, and how to manipulate defenses, while Luka shared his uncanny court vision and understanding of tempo. It wasn't mentorship in the traditional sense, it was collaboration. He sees the game 3 steps ahead, LeBron once told a Lakers assistant, referring to Luka. He's got that thing you can't teach. Their chemistry wasn't only strategic, it was also emotional. Luka admired how LeBron handled pressure, how he stayed poised under the spotlight, how he used his platform for more than just sports. LeBron, in turn, admired Luka's competitive fire and creative brilliance, which reminded him of his own early days in Cleveland. But with great chemistry comes the challenge of longevity. The Lakers' front office found itself at a crossroads. With Luka entering the prime of his career and LeBron approaching its twilight, some executives questioned whether continuing to build around the two stars made long-term sense. The idea of shifting fully to the Dončić era had a strong appeal. Yet Luka wouldn't hear of it. Sources close to the organization revealed that during a private meeting with the Lakers executive board, Luka explicitly stated his preference for keeping LeBron on board, not just as a teammate, but as a pillar of the franchise. "I don't care if he's 40 or 45, Luka reportedly said. "We're better with him. Period." It was a bold stance for a young star, but one that carried weight. Since his arrival in Los Angeles, Luka had quickly won the trust of teammates and staff alike. His work ethic, dedication, and willingness to take responsibility had solidified his role as a franchise leader, and now his voice mattered in every major decision. LeBron, for his part, had grown accustomed to being the center of every narrative. But this was different. For the first time, he wasn't the face of a team, he was sharing that spotlight, and comfortably so. He admired how Luka took charge of team culture, how he pushed others in practice, how he demanded accountability from top to bottom. In a world where egos often collide, theirs had found alignment. Together, they orchestrated a shift in the team's identity. Gone were the scattered lineups and short-term fixes. Instead, Luka and LeBron worked hand in hand to establish a style of play built on ball movement, high IQ decision-making, and defensive discipline. Their goal wasn't just to win games, it was to build a legacy. Off the court, the duo's bond extended into film sessions, charity events, and even family gatherings. LeBron's sons had become Luka's friends. Luka frequently dined with the James family, where basketball talk often gave way to discussions about leadership, purpose, and the weight of influence. The respect was mutual and public. In a post-game press conference after a gritty win against Denver, Luka looked over at LeBron and said with a smirk, "He's still the king. And I'm lucky to have him by my side." The media, hungry for signs of a power struggle, found none. Instead, they saw unity. And for the Lakers, that unity was the foundation of everything they hoped to build. Still, the pressure was far from gone. Every season brought new challenges. The Western Conference was stacked with hungry contenders, and questions loomed about how much longer LeBron could defy time. But Luka refused to consider a future without him. For Dončić, the Lakers weren't just his team, they were their team. And as the next season approached, with new signings, renewed expectations, and a city once again buzzing with hope, one thing was certain. Luka wasn't chasing his own era. He was building a bridge between greatness and greatness. As the new NBA season approached, anticipation buzzed through Los Angeles like electricity in the air before a storm. The Lakers weren't just another team anymore, they were a spectacle. With Luka Dončić at the helm and LeBron James standing beside him, the world expected nothing less than greatness. And both players knew it. Training camp opened with a different energy. Reporters and analysts packed the practice facility, eager to catch glimpses of the chemistry between the aging legend and the new face of the league. Every drill, every interaction, every smile exchanged between the two superstars was dissected and analyzed for meaning. Inside the team, though, there was no ambiguity. Luka had grown into a natural leader, more vocal, more focused, and more demanding. He arrived at camp early, ran extra shooting drills, and pulled younger players aside for one-on-one film study. This wasn't just Luka's team in name, it was his in tone, spirit, and identity. Still, he wasn't carrying the weight alone. LeBron, despite being in his 40s, moved with the precision and sharpness of a man half his age. He no longer needed to dominate every possession or drop 35 points to prove his worth. His leadership had evolved into something quieter, more surgical. He set screens, made the right reads, mentored rookies, and took pressure off Luka whenever necessary. The media, however, remained skeptical. Many questioned how long LeBron could maintain this level. Could he stay healthy? Could he keep up with the league's relentless pace? Some pundits even speculated that LeBron's presence might eventually hold Luka back from reaching his full potential. But Luka dismissed those doubts every chance he got. "People talk a lot," he said during media day. "But what we're building here, it's bigger than that. I've learned more from LeBron in one season than I could have in 5 on my own." He wasn't exaggerating. LeBron had become more than a co-star. He was a mentor, a brother, and in many ways the glue that held the locker room together. Younger players gravitated toward him. Veterans respected his longevity. Coaches leaned on his insight. But most importantly, Luka fed off his presence. And it showed on the court. In their first 10 games of the season, the Lakers jumped out to an 8-2 start. Luka was averaging 29.4 points, 8.1 assists, and 8.6 rebounds, MVP caliber numbers. LeBron, meanwhile, was putting up a smooth 20.3 points per game while anchoring the team's defense and managing the game's tempo like a seasoned conductor. More impressive than the numbers, however, was the rhythm. Their on-court connection was telepathic. Luka would drive into the lane, already knowing LeBron would slide into the corner for a wide-open 3. LeBron would read a double team coming and send a no-look pass to Luka cutting through the baseline. They weren't just playing, they were orchestrating. Coach Darvin Ham praised the duo in a post-game interview. "It's rare to see two stars with such different timelines sync this well. They challenge each other, support each other, and they hold each other accountable. That's what makes us dangerous." Still, the pressure mounted. Every success was met with higher expectations. Every mistake was magnified. When the Lakers dropped a close game to Phoenix, headlines exploded. Is age finally catching up to LeBron? Or worse, can Luka really carry a championship team? The noise was relentless, but the locker room stayed quiet. Luka and LeBron didn't respond to critics with words. They responded with work. After the Phoenix loss, both players were back in the gym by 7 a.m. the next morning. They didn't talk about it to the media. They didn't post cryptic messages on social media. They just worked. That was the new Lakers' identity. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, Luka continued to act as an architect, not just of the team but of its culture. He met regularly with team executives, advocating for a system that emphasized consistency and chemistry over flashy trades or short-term roster shuffles. "We're not chasing headlines," Luka reportedly told general manager Rob Pelinka. "We're chasing banners." And in that pursuit he made it clear. LeBron was part of the blueprint. Every time trade rumors swirled or exit talks resurfaced, Luka stepped in and reaffirmed his position. "If LeBron's here, we win. If he's not, we start over. It's that simple." He wasn't speaking out of nostalgia or blind loyalty. Luka saw something the rest of the league didn't. LeBron wasn't just still great, he was still essential. Not because of the stats, but because of the mindset. The Lakers weren't just building around Luka. They were building on the foundation that LeBron had laid. Together, they were crafting a story that defied expectations and rewrote timelines. And for Luka, every moment alongside LeBron wasn't just an opportunity. It was a responsibility, to learn, to lead, and to make sure the legend never left without a proper ending. As the Lakers' season marched forward, success on the court masked the storm clouds gathering behind it. From the outside, the team appeared cohesive, winning games, drawing national headlines, and riding the high of Luka Dončić's MVP-level performances. But inside the organization, tension quietly brewed. It wasn't between Luka and LeBron, far from it. Their bond had only grown stronger. The challenge, rather, came from the difficult balancing act required to keep a roster of veterans, rising stars, and role players all aligned under the weight of championship expectations. Luka, who had once been the wide-eyed newcomer in Dallas, now stood at the center of a high-pressure market where every win was demanded and every mistake dissected. Though he carried himself with calm authority, The burden of leadership was heavy. LeBron, well acquainted with that pressure, offered steady guidance. He had experienced it all before: front office politics, media storms, trade deadline anxieties. And now, in this new phase of his career, he did his best to shield Luka from the more brutal realities of being the franchise cornerstone. "Block out the noise," LeBron told him during one long flight after a tough road loss in Milwaukee. "Let them talk. We do the work." But doing the work wasn't always enough. Midway through the season, the Lakers hit their first major rough patch. Injuries piled up. DeAndre Ayton sprained his ankle. Marcus Smart missed 3 weeks with a hamstring issue. Rotations got scrambled and bench production dipped. The team dropped 5 of 7 games. Sports networks jumped on the slump with glee. Suddenly, criticism flared. Talk shows questioned whether Luka had what it took to lead a contender. Others speculated LeBron might demand a trade before the deadline, perhaps to join a team better positioned for a ring in his final years. Luka refused to feed the speculation. Instead, he met with coaching staff and held private team meetings, urging players to stay focused and reminding everyone that every contender goes through adversity. "This is the stretch that defines who we are," he told the team. "Not the blowouts, not the highlight reels. This." It was a moment that echoed what LeBron himself had said to young teammates during past title runs. Except now the words were Luka's. And they landed. Players responded. Practices intensified. Defensive rotations sharpened. And perhaps most importantly, LeBron, still managing minutes wisely, tightened his focus. He began controlling games in short bursts, using his experience to calm chaotic stretches and close out tight fourth quarters. And when LeBron spoke, people listened. During one locker room film session, he paused a clip showing a missed rotation and turned to a young forward. "You're not out there just to run. You're out there to think. Play smart or sit." It was a cold truth delivered without anger. And it worked. The team recentered. As the Lakers clawed their way out of the slump, something shifted. The locker room, once slightly fragmented, began to align. Everyone, from the 10th man to the assistant trainers, understood what Luka and LeBron were trying to build. It wasn't just about this season, it was about culture, longevity, and legacy. Still, whispers from the outside world refused to die. Reports emerged that other stars around the league were monitoring LeBron's situation in case he chose to move on. LeBron, for his part, gave nothing to feed the rumors. No tweets, no interviews, no hints. But it was Luka who stepped up to address it publicly. After a comeback win against the Warriors, Luka faced the media and was asked, once again, about the rumors of LeBron's future. "I'll say this once," Luka said, looking directly at the cameras. "LeBron isn't leaving. Not while I'm here. Not while we still have work to finish." It was more than a soundbite, it was a message. To the media. To the front office. To LeBron himself. Backstage, those words weren't forgotten. LeBron pulled Luka aside the next morning before shoot-around. "You didn't have to say that," he told him quietly. "I know," Luka replied. "But I meant it." From that moment on, there was no more talk of separation. No more hints of a split. The two were locked in. Together. As the All-Star break approached, the Lakers had stabilized their record, reclaimed a top 4 seed in the West, and silenced the storm, at least for now. But the path ahead was still long. For Luka and LeBron, the mission wasn't just about proving the doubters wrong. It was about proving themselves right, about the value of loyalty, the power of chemistry, and the belief that two stars from two different eras could chase greatness together. Right until the very end. By the time the All-Star break arrived, the Lakers had reclaimed their rhythm and their respect. Sitting comfortably among the top seeds in the Western Conference, they had not only salvaged a season that once seemed uncertain, but reignited the belief that they were legitimate contenders. But for Luka Dončić and LeBron James, the real challenge was just beginning. Luka was named an All-Star starter for the 4th consecutive year, a testament to his dominance and growing global popularity. His play had become almost effortless, step-back threes, no-look assists, bully ball drives through smaller guards. Fans marveled. Analysts praised. But inside, Luka wasn't satisfied. "This is nice," he told reporters during All-Star Media Day, "but it's not what I'm here for. I want June." LeBron, too, received his 20th All-Star selection, an unprecedented number. He wasn't the leading vote-getter anymore, but he remained a central figure. His role had shifted from the spotlight to the foundation, still brilliant, still impactful, but more focused on enabling others. He spoke more than he scored. He defended more than he dominated. And Luka listened. Their All-Star weekend wasn't flashy. They skipped after-parties, declined unnecessary interviews, and spent time reviewing film with Lakers staff who had traveled to support them. It was a quiet statement. They weren't chasing all-star moments, they were chasing championships. Back in LA, the team returned to work with renewed urgency. The second half of the season would be their proving ground. The schedule tightened. Playoff implications rose. Every possession, every rotation, every decision mattered. Luka elevated his intensity. He began demanding more in practice. More communication, more accountability, more urgency. He challenged teammates when effort dropped. He met with coaching staff regularly to review adjustments. He wasn't just leading by example anymore, he was leading vocally. "You don't win titles by playing hard in April," Luka said during one film session. "You win them now. In February. In March. When no one's watching." LeBron smiled when he heard that. It was something he himself had once said to Kyrie Irving back in Cleveland. Now Luka was saying it. Living it. Becoming it. Their on-court chemistry became the team's compass. In crunch time, Luka initiated the offense while LeBron orchestrated from the elbow or wing, directing traffic like a seasoned general. When defenses collapsed on Luka, LeBron slipped into open pockets and hit mid-range daggers. When LeBron needed a breather, Luka absorbed double teams and created mismatches. It was a partnership, not a hierarchy. And it was working. Over a 12-game stretch post-All-Star break, the Lakers went 10-2. They beat Denver on the road. They outdueled Golden State in a double overtime thriller. Luka dropped a 40-point triple-double against the Clippers. LeBron recorded a 30-10-8 stat line in a win over Boston. National media flipped the narrative. "They're not just coexisting, they're thriving," one analyst noted. This might be the best 1-2 punch in the league. But Luka and LeBron weren't interested in the noise, good or bad. They remained focused on the day-to-day. Film sessions. Recovery. Discipline. Luka began training with LeBron's longtime body performance coach, investing even more into injury prevention and endurance. He wasn't just mimicking LeBron's game anymore, he was absorbing his habits, his routines, his mindset. And it paid off. While other stars across the league struggled with fatigue, Luka kept getting stronger. His efficiency improved. Turnovers dropped. His defense, often a criticized part of his game, became noticeably sharper. He read passing lanes, fought over screens, and even took charges, something he rarely did in his earlier years. "Leadership is sacrifice," LeBron told him one night in the training room. "Sometimes that means doing the dirty work no one sees." Luka nodded. "Then I'll do it. All of it." The locker room noticed. The entire organization noticed. Luka's evolution wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. He had become the soul of the team. But he never lost sight of the fact that he was standing on the shoulders of greatness. LeBron was still there. Still guiding. Still pushing. As the regular season entered its final month, the Lakers stood at 48-22, third in the West but rising fast. Every game was a step closer to the goal they'd quietly shared since training camp. Not just a deep playoff run, but a title. Together. But beneath the momentum, both men knew what lay ahead. The playoffs wouldn't just test their skills. They would test their belief in one another, their ability to adjust, to endure, and to silence every voice that said this could never work. And Luka was ready. Ready to lead. Ready to follow when needed. Ready to finish what he and LeBron had started. In the City of Stars, two of the brightest had chosen not to compete, but to combine. And as the spotlight grew hotter, their bond only grew stronger. The playoffs had arrived. The air in Los Angeles was different now, thicker, charged with tension and anticipation. Billboards of Luka Dončić and LeBron James lined Sunset Boulevard. Purple and gold flags fluttered from car windows. The expectations weren't just high, they were historic. The Lakers had finished the regular season with a 55-27 record, securing the second seed in the Western Conference. Their opponent in the first round, the 7th-seeded Sacramento Kings, a young, energetic team with nothing to lose and everything to prove. From the opening tip of Game 1 at Crypto.com Arena, it was clear. This wasn't going to be a warm-up series. Sacramento played with speed and chaos, running the floor at every opportunity, collapsing on Luka, crowding LeBron, daring the rest of the Lakers to beat them. The Kings stole Game 1 in shocking fashion, 112-107, sending the crowd into stunned silence. The media reacted instantly. Have the Lakers been exposed? Are Luka and LeBron too methodical to keep up with these young legs? Is this the end of the Kings' playoff magic? Inside the locker room, tension crackled. Players looked uneasy. The veterans were quiet. But Luka? He was still. Focused. Studying. Game 2 is ours, he told the room calmly. They wanted to run. We let them. Won't happen again. LeBron, sitting across from him, gave a slight nod. Let's lock it down. And they did. Game 2 was a clinic. Luka controlled the tempo like a maestro, slowing the game down, forcing Sacramento into half-court sets where their offense faltered. He poured in 35 points, dished out 11 assists and even recorded 4 steals. LeBron added 22 points and 9 rebounds, playing more like a chess master than a scorer, managing rotations, orchestrating defensive switches, and mentoring the second unit through crunch time. Lakers won by 18. Series tied. But something more important had happened. Luka had officially taken command. Teammates responded to him differently now. After timeouts, they looked to him first. In huddles, they waited for his word. Even LeBron, the league's most decorated veteran, deferred to Luka in moments of decision-making. It wasn't a power shift. It was a passing of the torch. And Luka handled it with grace. He never tried to outshine LeBron. In fact, he continued to credit him publicly, praising his leadership, his ability to calm nerves during runs, and his presence when the lights burned hottest. He's still the anchor, Luka said after Game 3, which the Lakers won on the road behind a 28-point performance from James. This team runs because of the culture he built. LeBron appreciated the respect, but even he knew, this was Luka's show now. Still, as the series stretched into a dogfight, with both teams trading wins and physicality ramping up, the weight of expectation grew heavier. In Game 5, Sacramento stole another road win, exposing cracks in the Lakers' defensive rotations. The series was now 3-2 in favor of LA, but far from secure. After that game, Luka didn't speak to reporters. He stayed in the gym until nearly midnight, working on step-backs, free throws and pick-and-roll sequences with assistant coaches. LeBron joined him later. Still thinking about Game 1? LeBron asked, sitting on the sideline. No, Luka said, draining another corner 3. I'm thinking about Game 7. And how we don't let it happen. Game 6 in Sacramento was hostile. Deafening. Kings fans taunted LeBron, chanted at Luka, and brought the same chaos that had overwhelmed the Lakers in Game 1. But this time LA didn't blink. LeBron played 38 minutes of controlled, veteran brilliance, timely passes, disciplined defense, and a clutch mid-range dagger to silence the crowd late in the fourth. Luka, meanwhile, was transcendent. 41 points, 12 assists, and countless plays that left defenders spinning. The Lakers closed it out. Series 1. As the final buzzer sounded, Luka didn't celebrate wildly. He walked over to LeBron, hugged him, and simply said, "One down." It was more than a win. It was a confirmation that Luka could lead under pressure, that LeBron could still dominate in spurts, and that together they could survive the fire of playoff basketball. But it also revealed something else. Neither was content. This wasn't their goal. It wasn't even halfway there. What they wanted, what they had been building all year, wasn't about beating young upstarts in the first round. It was about history, legacy, banners, and the next challenge would be even tougher. The reigning champion Denver Nuggets awaited. The second round was war. The Denver Nuggets, defending NBA champions, stood in the Lakers' path like a mountain, figuratively and literally. With Nikola Jokic playing some of the smartest basketball the league had ever seen, and Jamal Murray back in full form, the Nuggets were confident, experienced, and terrifyingly efficient. They had eliminated the Lakers the year prior. Clean sweep. Embarrassing, painful. A reminder of how far short Los Angeles had fallen. But this was a different team. This time, Luka Dončić was in command. Still, Game 1 at Ball Arena was brutal. Denver came out with the swagger of a champion. They bullied the paint. Jokic made LeBron's life miserable in the post. Murray hit contested threes over Smart. Luka, double-teamed from the first possession, found himself suffocated, unable to create with his usual flair. The Lakers fell behind early and never recovered, losing by 17. The media reignited the usual questions. Is Denver just too much for them? Can Luka survive a 7-game series being blitzed every possession? Has LeBron finally reached the end of his rope? Luka didn't flinch. After the game, he stood at the podium and said calmly, "We've seen this before. We'll adjust." LeBron, seated beside him, nodded with a smirk. "We'll be ready." And in Game 2 they were. Luka changed everything. He slowed the pace, neutralized Denver's fast breaks, and pulled Jokic into switches where he could exploit slower feet. He didn't score 40, but he didn't need to. He dissected the Nuggets piece by piece. LeBron added 24 points, 10 rebounds, and the most important contribution of the night: silence. Silence to the crowd. Silence to the critics. Lakers tied the series, stealing home court advantage. Back in Los Angeles, the energy was thunderous. Game 3 at Crypto.com Arena felt like a playoff game from another era. Crowd standing from tip-off to buzzer. Celebrities in the front row. Purple and gold confetti queued up in the rafters just in case. But Denver wasn't rattled. Jokic reminded everyone why he was the best player in the world. A near triple-double in 3 quarters. Murray hit a fadeaway buzzer beater to end the third that seemed to deflate the entire building. Even Luka, brilliant as ever, couldn't fight back the momentum alone. LeBron looked tired. Mortal. Lakers lost by 9. After the game, Luka skipped the post-game conference. Not out of disrespect, but out of fire. He went straight to the gym. No cameras. No trainers. Just him, a ball, and a shooting machine. LeBron joined him an hour later. They didn't speak for a while. Just trained. Then finally Luka turned to him and asked, "How did you do this for 20 years? LeBron didn't smile. "Because I hated losing more than I loved winning." That stuck. Game 4 was Luka unleashed. He scored 46 points, dished out 8 assists, and played the most physical defense of his career. He barked at refs. He crashed the boards. He screamed after a tough and one in the fourth. The crowd roared with him. LeBron chipped in 19 quiet points and 11 rebounds, and played the role of stabilizer, keeping the younger Lakers calm as Denver made late pushes. Series tied 2-2. But there was no breathing room. Every game felt like Game 7. And now it actually was. Game 5 in Denver was brutal. Overtime. Blood. Exhaustion. Luka fought. LeBron hit a clutch 3 to send it to OT. But in the final minute, a costly turnover by Smart and a dagger 3 from Murray gave Denver the win. Down 3-2. Everything on the line. Before Game 6, the tension in the Lakers' locker room was thick. Luka stood in front of the team, not yelling, not riling them up, but focused. "They think they've got us. Let's remind them who we are." That night he did exactly that. Luka's performance was surgical. 38 points, 14 assists, 3 steals. LeBron added a double-double. Ayton controlled the paint. Smart hit timely threes. And the Lakers played like a team possessed. Series tied again. Game 7. Back in Denver. No room for nerves. Only execution. It was the game of the year. Jokic and Luka went shot for shot in the first half. LeBron, knowing what was at stake, dove for loose balls, took charges, and mentored every possession with the poise of a 5-time finalist. Late in the fourth, tied at 102-102, Luka found LeBron on a baseline cut for a thunderous dunk. Crowd silenced. Final possession, Denver ball. Murray drives. Blocked by LeBron. Ayton rebounds. Game over. Lakers win. Series over. Luka collapsed into LeBron's arms as the final buzzer sounded. The emotions poured in, relief, exhaustion, pride. They had just eliminated the champions. Together. And the message was clear to the rest of the league. This wasn't a partnership of convenience. It was a force. The battle with Denver had taken everything. Bodies were sore. Minds exhausted. But spirits? Unshakable. For the first time in years, the Lakers were back in the Western Conference Finals. And while the city of Los Angeles celebrated, the team knew better than to bask in the moment. There was no time. The Dallas Mavericks, ironically Luka's former franchise, stood between them and the NBA Finals. It was personal. For Luka, deeply so. There was no bad blood. No lingering resentment. But when he looked across the court and saw the Mavericks logo, he remembered. The critics who said he couldn't lead a team. The front office decisions that left him frustrated. The trades, the stagnation, the playoff collapses. This wasn't revenge. It was resolution. Game 1 was a statement. Luka came out surgical. Pick and rolls, fadeaways, cross-court lasers. His fingerprints were on every possession. LeBron followed suit, not in scoring but in pace. He slowed the game, commanded spacing, pointed out mismatches before they happened. The Lakers led wire to wire. Final score, 117-99. After the win, reporters asked Luka what it meant to beat Dallas in Game 1. He paused, then smiled. It's not about beating Dallas. It's about finishing something we started in October. But deep down it meant something more. It was closure. Game 2 brought Dallas punch back. Kyrie Irving erupted for 35 points. Luka had 33, but turnovers plagued the second unit. LeBron looked visibly fatigued late in the fourth. And despite a furious comeback attempt, the Lakers fell short. Series tied 1-1. Back in the locker room, Luka looked frustrated. LeBron, ever the veteran, took the lead. "Remember who we are," he said calmly. "We don't panic. We adjust." The next 48 hours were intense. Film sessions ran late. Luka and LeBron worked individually with the staff, breaking down every mistake, every misread. They came back with a plan. Game 3 was in LA, and Crypto.com Arena was vibrating with energy. Luka delivered a masterpiece, 37 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds. He hunted mismatches relentlessly, torching switches and finding Ayton in the paint when doubles came. LeBron only scored 14, but his plus 18 plus-minus told the real story. He orchestrated. He defended. He slowed Kyrie down just enough. Lakers up 2-1. Game 4 was even tighter. Dallas adjusted defensively, throwing blitzes and full-court pressure at Luka. He struggled early, missed shots, uncharacteristic frustration. But LeBron stepped in. At 40, he put together a vintage performance. 29 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and a soul-snatching block on Tim Hardaway Jr. late in the game. Lakers won by 4. Up 3-1. One win from the finals. And yet Luka was cautious. "They're not done," he said post-game. "No one's done until they're on a plane home." He was right. Game 5 in Dallas was a gut check. Kyrie and Luka's old teammate, Jalen Brunson, caught fire. Ayton got into foul trouble. The bench couldn't find rhythm. Even LeBron looked worn down. Luka fought, dropping 41, but it wasn't enough. Series tightened, 3-2. On the flight back to Los Angeles, silence lingered in the cabin. Luka sat alone, watching film on his tablet. LeBron walked over, sat next to him, and placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're going to the finals," he said. It wasn't a prediction. It was a vow. Game 6 was the most intense of the postseason. The Lakers came out swinging. Luka, visibly emotional, played like a man possessed, diving for loose balls, pointing out rotations, and screaming after every big shot. LeBron followed with one of the most efficient 22-point games of his playoff career. But the real difference was trust. Ayton, Smart, Reeves, all contributed. Luka passed up good shots to get great ones. LeBron managed minutes like a coach on the floor. The chemistry wasn't just real, it was unbreakable. With 2 minutes left, up by 6, Luka hit a step-back three over Kyrie that brought the arena to its feet. LeBron, smiling from the bench, stood and clapped. He wasn't watching a teammate. He was watching a successor. The buzzer sounded. Lakers 118. Mavericks 109. Western Conference champions. Confetti rained. Cameras flashed. LeBron lifted the trophy, then handed it to Luka without hesitation. "This is yours," he said. Luka held it, hands trembling. But in his heart he knew. This wasn't the end. It wasn't the celebration. It was the beginning of the real battle. The NBA Finals awaited. And standing on the other side of the bracket? The Boston Celtics. The stage was set. Lakers versus Celtics. The oldest rivalry in the NBA. 17 championships each. The winner would not only claim the title but also stand alone atop basketball history with banner number 18. The league couldn't have scripted it better. For Luka Dončić, it was his first trip to the finals. For LeBron James, it was his 11th, his first in a supporting role. And for both, this series wasn't just about rings. It was about legacy. Boston had the best record in the league. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were playing the best basketball of their careers. Kristaps Porzingis had returned healthy. The Celtics had depth, chemistry, and vengeance on their minds after previous finals heartbreaks. Game 1 in TD Garden was brutal. The Celtics came out with fire. Tatum scored 16 in the first quarter. Luka struggled with Boston's perimeter defense, which switched everything and forced tough shots. LeBron, although poised, looked a half-step slower, chasing Brown around screens. Final score: Celtics 114, Lakers 101. Media outlets pounced. Too much for Luka? Is LeBron finally running on fumes? But in the post-game presser, Luka was composed. "They threw the first punch," he said. "Now it's our turn." Game 2 was a classic. LeBron came out focused, hitting mid-range jumpers, posting up smaller defenders and setting the defensive tone. Luka responded with one of his finest all-around games. 34 points, 10 assists, and a game-winning floater in the final seconds over Jrue Holiday. Series tied 1-1. Back in Los Angeles, the series took on a different texture. Crypto.com Arena felt like it hadn't since the Kobe days, buzzing with finals intensity. Celebrities courtside. Banners lit. Energy thick in the air. Game 3 was the Dončić show. He read the Celtics' defense like a novel. When they doubled, he passed. When they switched, he attacked. When they sagged, he made them pay. He finished with 43 points, 9 assists and 0 turnovers, an unheard-of stat line in the finals. LeBron chipped in 17 points, but more importantly, directed the floor with the wisdom of a general. The Lakers won convincingly. Now up 2-1. But Boston wasn't going away. Game 4 was a war. Tatum and Brown combined for 60. Luka shot poorly. LeBron tried to carry late but missed a crucial three with 28 seconds left. Celtics even the series. 2-2. Best of 3. It was now about who could suffer more, adjust faster, and want it deeper. In Game 5, back in Boston, LeBron reminded the world who he was. In a throwback performance, he tallied 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists, controlling every moment, igniting fast breaks, and making timely stops. Luka, despite battling foul trouble, hit a dagger 3 in the final minute to seal the win. Lakers up 3-2. One win away. The city of LA held its breath. Game 6. A chance to win the title at home. Luka came out aggressive, maybe too aggressive. He forced shots. LeBron looked hesitant, missing 3 open looks in the third. The Celtics, composed and ruthless, capitalized. They won by 11. Back to Boston. Game 7. The script wrote itself. Luka couldn't sleep the night before. He watched film until sunrise, going over every missed rotation, every poor decision. LeBron, meanwhile, slept like a veteran who'd seen everything, and dreamed of one final crowning moment. Game 7 tipped off under flashing lights and deafening noise. The first half was chaos. Lead changes, foul trouble, momentum swings. Luka had 18 by halftime. Tatum had 21. LeBron had 10, but already 7 assists. No one blinked. Then came the third quarter. The Celtics surged ahead by 9. The crowd roared. It felt like the title was slipping away. That's when Luka went cold-blooded. 3 straight possessions. Step back 3. Euro step layup. Behind the back dime to Ayton for the dunk. Tie game. Fourth quarter, the final battle. LeBron, saving everything for this moment, went to work. Posting up, drawing contact, and organizing every play. Luka trusted him completely. Final minute. Lakers up 2. Celtics ball. Tatum drives. LeBron rotates. Block. Lakers rebound. Luka walks it up. Shot clock down to 5. Crosses. Spins. Fades from the free throw line. Buckets. Lakers up 4. Boston's last shot misses. Ayton grabs the rebound. The horn sounds. Lakers 108, Celtics 104. Champions. Luka drops to his knees at center court, overwhelmed. LeBron walks over, pulls him up, and whispers something no one else hears. Then hands him the Finals MVP trophy. And smiles. Your time now. The champagne had dried. The parades rolled through downtown Los Angeles. Purple and gold flooded every avenue. Fans chanted, confetti flew, and murals of Luka and LeBron began appearing across the city. The Lakers were champions once again. Banner 18 was no longer a dream, it was reality. But inside the franchise's training facility, there was no fanfare. Just 2 men in a private gym before sunrise shooting jumpers. LeBron James. Luka Dončić. No cameras. No speeches. No reporters. Just 2 generations of greatness in one space, letting the moment settle in silence. Luka was the Finals MVP. Averaged 33.6 points, 8.7 assists, and 6.9 rebounds over 7 games. He dismantled Boston's elite defense, outdueled Jason Tatum, and orchestrated the most clutch plays of the series. The world called it his coronation. But Luka didn't feel crowned. Not yet. Not until he spoke to LeBron. So that's what it feels like? Luka finally asked, the ball resting at his side. LeBron didn't look up. That's what it feels like when you do it the right way. A long pause. Luka looked around the empty gym. The same court they trained on after that Game 3 loss to Denver. The same court where their partnership truly began. I'm not sure I'm ready to do this without you, Luka admitted. LeBron shot another jumper. Swish. You are, he replied. You've been ready. The rumors had grown louder by the day. Retirement. LeBron had yet to confirm anything publicly. No press release. No farewell tour. But his actions spoke louder than headlines. He declined his player option. He stepped back from team decisions. He hadn't touched social media in weeks. Everyone knew this might be it. And if it was, it ended perfectly. Not with a scoring title. Not with a last-second shot. But as a mentor. As a leader. As a champion. He had passed the torch not because he had to, but because he chose to. During the Lakers championship parade, Luka held the mic. Fans expected him to thank the front office or the fans or his teammates. He did all that. But then he turned to LeBron, who stood in the back, sunglasses on, quiet as always. This man, Luka said, could have gone anywhere. Could have retired. Could have made it about himself. The crowd grew quiet. But instead he stayed. For us. For this. And without him, we don't hang that banner. The crowd erupted. LeBron just nodded, lifting his hand in a half-wave. No smile. Just gratitude. In the weeks that followed, the NBA world turned its attention elsewhere. Free agency rumors, draft projections, and trade buzz. But something had changed in Los Angeles. Luka was no longer just a superstar. He was the face. He signed a 4-year extension before the season started. Fully committed. He held team workouts. Led film sessions. Recruited free agents. It was his team now. And still, every once in a while he'd text LeBron after a game. You would have blocked that. What do I do when they blitz the corner? Miss having you here. LeBron always replied. Sometimes with advice. Sometimes with just a thumbs up. Sometimes with nothing but a photo of that Game 7 block on Tatum. He was gone but never far. Luka eventually led the Lakers to another finals 2 years later. This time against the Milwaukee Bucks. No LeBron. No guiding hand. Just Luka. Leading. Commanding. Creating. And after lifting his second Larry O'Brien trophy, someone asked him, "Do you think LeBron is the greatest of all time?" Luka smiled. "Yeah," he said. "But not just for the stats or the rings. For how he left the game. And how he helped me learn to stay in it." The crown had passed. And the curtain had closed. Not with applause. But with a quiet bounce of the ball. In an empty gym. Before sunrise. Where legends begin. And legends end.